Perhaps it's fate that this is our show before the 4th of July, and you will once again be geeking out with us. Not just about Star Trek trailers, Ready Player One news, or James Earl Jones, but about Resurgence. Together we'll look at Roland Emmerich's new epic, and declare, in one voice, that we will not go quietly into the good night. We will discuss all the science within our sights. We're going to nerd on. We're going to survive. Today, we analyze the new Independence Day!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Hey there, sci-fi fans! Welcome back to Popcorn Talk Sci-Fi Weekly. And if you're still here after that insane speech that I just gave, thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. We're going to be bringing you all the latest news in science fiction. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. And then a big topic we're going to talk about, Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh, yeah.
Our review and thoughts. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all the places at that Zach Wilson. And I've got my fantastic co-host.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Jesse Klein. I am so motivated after that speech. I feel like I could be a million Queen aliens. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number one. Let's get into it.
Yeah, and we were joined by the computer in the booth running things.
Hello, Zach.
I'm afraid. With this music and the I'm going to start the show.
I don't know what you mean by that sound.
Okay, let's if my name, I'm glad my name's not Dave.
Yeah, that would make it bad.
And or Frank.
Sure.
It is neither. So we're gonna kick off the info download news this week, and we're switching up. We're gonna try out a new style over what we did in our premiere last week. Those of you who did join us last week, thank you so much for coming back again. But because there's so much news to cover, there's only one speed that we can really go at. And frankly, light speed is too slow.
It's too slow.
So we're going to have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed! Go!
That's right. It's kicking off our ludicrous speed segment. Mel Brooks, appropriately enough, yesterday turned 90. The Spaceballs writer, director, producer, star is only 1,910 years away from becoming the true 2,000-year-old man. Happy birthday, Mel.
That's right, and in Star Wars news, we got Rogue One is not going to have a credit scroll. Kathleen Kennedy is looking for ways to make it look different, and she said having no credit scroll is going to be the way to go. So how are we going to know about trade delegations?
There's just no way to know.
There's no way to know.
But what we do know is that James Earl Jones has officially been confirmed to be returning for Rogue One as Darth Vader. I didn't even think to question it.
Yeah, who else would voice Darth Vader?
Yeah, until they announced that he was coming back. But yeah, you will have the proper voice for Darth Vader.
Thank goodness. On to Spider-Man news. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there are some amazing set photos going on of him in the costume, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, computer, if you want to bring that up, you've got one up there. It looks glorious.
Yeah. He looks like a Spider-Man. He looks like a straight-on Spider-Man. I'm very excited.
With a backpack and a little cell phone.
A little backpack and a cell phone.
More Spider-Man news this week. Sony confirmed that although they have given complete creative control to Marvel, they are going to retain green light control over the film. So
yeah.
Marvel, they're giving Kevin Feige and his team complete say over what happens in the films, but ultimately they get to decide what films are going to be made, including any potential spin-offs they want to make, anything from the solo Venom movie they've been trying to get done for years to a Silver Sable feature that
Thank God.
I swear to you, in development. I can't make that up.
Staying in the Marvel world, Ant-Man and Wasp, it looks like the movie is going to be a team movie. Wasp is going to be heavily featured, which is like saying, like, you know that character that's in the title of this movie? Turns out it's going to be a heavily featured character.
I'm so excited. I can't. I had to have Jesse do the story because I can't. I'm so excited.
Too excited.
So excited. King Kong Skull Island is in the news because it's going to feature a true to the lore, 100-foot version of the famous large ape.
That's going to look ridiculous.
As opposed to like other movies where they've said he's been like 20 feet tall or 30 feet tall,
Yeah.
or maybe he's changed sizes depending on when you're shooting him. He is going to be the giant one. He has to be for when he fights Godzilla
In 2020.
Moving forward, Ready Player One news.
Yeah.
The Hannah John Kamen of Killjoys fame, her season 2 is about to premiere this Friday, but she has been cast in a mystery role for Ready Player One. I honestly, as a big fan of the book, don't know who she is playing
No idea.
unless she's an avatar of one of the characters. But I don't know that that's the way they're going, since this is our primary view of the person. So
Yeah.
unless this is the in-game version of Artemis, which I guess is possible, it remains to be seen who she will be playing. But it is, from what reports are saying, a significant role.
Yeah, and the Hulu series Dimension 404 just announced that they will have Patton Oswalt join the cast. So that's exciting. That science fiction anthology series is gonna have some Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, anything he's in, I will see.
Yeah.
Michael Bay unveiled a new Transformer this week, Squeaks the Vespa. Squeaks the Vespa. What he didn't show you is that when it transforms, it is wearing a beret, a plaid scarf, and horn-rimmed glasses.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true. Here's my thing. Like, the world knows about Transformers now. Like, in the universe of Transformers, they know that these robots exist. Why are they still being turning into cars? It makes no sense.
They need to go on wheels, Jesse. Their legs are only 2 stories tall.
I guess. In Star Trek news, we got a few of these. The Abrams verse gets an official name, and that's the Kelvin timeline. Technically, same universe, just a split timeline,
So we can't call it the Abrams verse anymore.
which is too bad.
And not if we don't want to get in trouble with Paramount.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting real litigious. But the Star Trek TV series, there's some more details from showrunner Brian Fuller, who says that the entire season 1 story is already broken. Broken is a good thing, guys.
Yeah,
If you're not familiar with how TV shows, right?
Yeah.
That means that they've developed each episode and they have the entire season plotted out. They haven't written it all, but they know what's going to happen. And it's going to be a serialized 13 episodes, as opposed to the more classic Star Trek, like the original series, where it was very standalone episodic TV. It will be one continuous story over the 13 episodes. And then they've got a whole bunch of work done, and Fuller says that it is going to honor the progressiveness of Star Trek, even though they have not announced cast yet, and they're still casting. It will be diverse in one way or another.
More in the Star Trek fan film, speaking of litigation, Paramount outlined the rules for fan films. And those are, it can be no more than 15 minutes long or 2 episodes totaling 30 minutes. It must use official merchandise only, and no participation from anyone involved in the official Star Trek series or movies, and it must be family friendly.
All right. And that's going to do it for the ludicrous speed news. I'm out of breath. I don't know. I've got
we
a
were
lot
going
more
so
talking.
fast.
But yeah, I hope you guys let us know what you guys think of ludicrous speed. We're gonna keep developing that. We want to make that a fun way to kick it off. But now we're gonna get into some more discussion of the more intricate topics. Well, you know, we've been talking about Star Trek, so let's keep going with that, because we got the third in the series of trailers for Star Trek Beyond, which comes out in just a few weeks, feels like. And I'm trying not to swear. I'm excited.
I'm jazzed. That's what I say instead of swearing. I say I'm jazzed about it. And this, however, was my least favorite trailer, because it kind of kept the now kind of Jurassic World thing where it's like the piano in the background and people talking over it. And it reminded me of like a Crystal Method music video, where I thought for sure Kirk and Bones were about to start singing a lot. Like, it felt like they were about, if you watch it, it felt like it was about to like kick up into some techno music, and then like Kirk and Bones would start repeating lines and just be like, engage, doom, 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 doom,
funny.
engage.
I did enjoy, like, look, I'm not a huge Rihanna fan,
Yeah,
but
sure.
like I liked the song with the trailer.
Yeah.
And they did do a couple of times in the there where like they have what's her name? J-Law.
Yeah.
I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that properly.
Yeah,
But,
Jennifer Lawrence.
No.
Oh.
Actually, that'd be amazing. If there's like twist. It's been her all along. No, the white-faced striped woman.
Jayla.
Yeah, Jayla. Where she just yells. She's like, ah.
Yeah.
And it's as Rihanna's singing, so it just like times. It looks like she's shouting Rihanna.
I thought for sure they were gonna break into song. It felt like they were gonna break into song.
But this I thought the song was good. It was a good choice. Like I've hit a wall. And I think it fit well with like what they're setting up for the tone
Yeah.
of Star Trek, of this Star Trek, because for me the big thing that I'm latching onto in these trailers, and I'm glad that they keep the thing I like most about these trailers is what's not in there.
Sure.
Because they're using the same moments like throughout
Pretty much,
them,
yeah.
which is exactly what I want them to do. They're just like a little bit more each time, and that's exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
we don't
kinda-
need those movies where you watch 3 trailers and you're like, but I've seen all of it.
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman. But
Oh, you had a little bit of a cough there. Sorry.
until like I'll bet you even the ultimate cuthead stuff in the trailers.
Sure.
But it's with the whole stuff that they set up with his dad, continuing that. What really like kicked off this iteration of Captain Kirk's storyline was the fact that he never knew his father.
Yeah.
And what that meant, like not just that he like the idea that he aspired to be him, that is what kicked him off. To me, that says a lot about what we're going to see of this in this character.
I agree.
In that, like how he's going to grow, how he's going to develop, and the idea of questioning if you define yourself by another person, and then you have to re-examine just like who you are. It's like I want to see that's the introspection that Star Trek has always offered.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the thing that for me that's interesting is like this looks like it's going to be what they wanted the second movie to be, where this is kind of the downfall. Like in a trilogy, you always want the second one to be the darker of the 3.
Yeah.
And for me, Star Trek
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness, I wanted to say Wrath of Khan. I felt like they had too many ideas that they were juggling, and it didn't come across as a darker of the 3 films. Like it just kind of felt like it was too scrambled. This one looks like it's going to be a much darker. I like that it's exploration again. It's a new race. No one knows who they are. That's exciting to me.
It's not Gorn.
It's not Gorn. We're not going to axe punch these guys with a double
There was like
fist.
when I first saw it, there was a part of me like, are they just wildly chinging because they had the ridges on the
Yeah,
head?
yeah.
I was like, are they just wildly changing what Klingons look like?
Yeah. Oh, that would have been interesting.
That was my first thought when I saw it,
Yeah.
because like the Kelvin timeline
Yeah, sure.
has lots of changes. That would be a little extreme because
That's an
you
extreme.
can't just change the entire genetics of a species
Yeah.
based on one starship blowing up like 20 years ago.
But yeah, to me, it's exciting to see more exploration. It's going to be interesting to see where it goes. We know that we see in the trailer, the Enterprise gets destroyed, which happens in most Star Trek movies. So, like, I'm glad they're keeping that tradition around.
Yeah. But other stuff we saw in the trailer, we saw the crew imprisoned.
Yeah.
I'm assuming after they crashed, because the Enterprise looks like it blew up.
Yeah.
Which I never trust when I see in trailers, because half the time it's in the dream sequence or something.
Yeah, well, and also in Star Trek movies, the Enterprise gets destroyed.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a go-to in Star Trek.
Yeah. But like that, it is very big, and I think like for Kirk, who's just like, this has been like since he went from recruit trainee to captain on board there, like not in like I trudged my way through the ranks. It's like, no, he just like got it in a day.
His captain got murdered in front of him and was like, well, I'm captain now.
Yeah, and he just like, we're gonna jump you about 20 ranks today.
Yeah, Kirk was like,
fun.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
I am captain now.
I mean, the whole like Kirk Spock pissing contest from the first movie is one of my favorite sequences and dynamics, because like the whole thing where he like Pike puts him in charge. It's
that's
good.
great.
I rewatched it last week after hearing about Anton Yelchin. I was just like needed to go watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I just like that scene.
It's a
love
great
that
scene. Yeah.
Anyway, but I think we're both very excited. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
I have not got my tickets yet, but I know they're on sale.
I have
Rush
not.
to your choice of movie online purveyors.
Yeah.
That was a really weird way of saying go buy your tickets now.
Yeah, go do it.
Ready Player One.
More news.
We were going to talk about this really quick, but I think it's worth exploring a little further. The big news, this beyond just like some more casting, and they put together a phenomenal cast. Spielberg has said that he is not going to include references to his movies, or at least to most of his movies.
Yeah.
In the film, even though like when you think about 80s and 80s sci-fi geek culture at all, Spielberg is #1 name on the list. It's why it was such an interesting choice for him to direct this.
Yeah, that feels like a huge mistake. Like when I think about Ready Player One, I think about an entire universe that is based off of 80s nerd and geek culture, and Spielberg is 80s nerd. Like that's it.
It is, and like he did say most, so I think there's going to be little things in there. But
There'll
I think
be an E.T. in
he
there.
sort of had. Well, E.T. I think is like probably one he will completely avoid.
Really?
Because I think it's one that you can avoid pretty easily within like the story of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And you think he's mainly talking about the films that he directed, not just produced.
Okay.
Because he did say that the DeLorean is going to be in there.
Okay, good.
Because we know that Percival drives the Ecto 88.
That's his. Yeah.
And he did say the DeLorean is going to be in the film.
Thank God.
So like he's not like anything I had my hand on, I'm not touching. I think it's sort
Just
of
the movies he
it's like a
directed.
catch-22 sort of situation. Like we're going to be disappointed that we're not referencing Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Probably in these movies. And maybe we'll get like a nod here somewhere in the background.
Yeah.
But like that's all you would normally see from a director about their own work, because anything more than that feels like patting themselves on the back.
Well, yeah, and it again, it's like it's a weird situation where I usually hate it in a movie where they like overuse references, and they especially in like sequels or remakes where it's like, hey, remember that thing we did? And but in this world, it's kind of built around that. Like that's what the world is all referential. So like.
And part of what I loved about the book is that it is littered in references, but they justify it right at the top, so it makes sense that it was a little more heavy-handed in Ernest Cline's next book. The name is blanking out in my head.
Ready Player 2.
No,
Not Ready Player 3.
but it was just a little more heavy-handed, but this it was so clean the way that they bring in all the references and justify them that I'm excited for what they're going to do. And so I think ultimately it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But lastly, discussion. I wanted to just play this.
Great.
Because
I'm hearing it blind.
Ghostbusters comes out.
Heard this.
Ghostbusters comes out in a few weeks, and they released this week the new theme song from Fallout Boy featuring Missy Elliott. I'm you know what, whatever popular artist, nice. The computer, for those listening to this, computer just changed all the lights into green, which I'm sure is making us look great.
We are now ecto cooler.
Yeah, we're inside. We're coming to you from inside the ghost trap.
Yeah, or Slimer.
Yeah, we're inside Slimer. It's very. Let's computer. Could you play the song for us?
Right away, Zach.
Yep. All right. Computer.
Yes, Zach.
He's gone rogue.
Yes, Zach.
Kill the music, computer.
Right away,
I
Zach.
can't. All right, there. Thank you.
Right, so that's garbage.
Look, I don't want to hate on things. Like
Yeah.
I don't want this to be that show. Like I'm not. With the new movie coming out, I have a lot of hesitations, but I'm withholding judgment until I see it.
Sure.
Has nothing to do with the cast or anything like that. Just purely what I've seen in the trailers has not made me optimistic, but I don't trust trailers.
Yeah, neither do
so I will be seeing it and we'll be talking about it when it comes out. But this song is not good.
Yeah, and we were talking about it before. I would say in a vacuum, the original Ghostbusters song is also not good.
You bite your tongue,
but it's
sir.
iconic. Like, it's so iconic to us that we enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that song has been around my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, I've not known a world without the Ghostbusters theme song.
Yeah.
So, I guess I did pay $30 for a vinyl that only has the theme songs from the first two movies. I didn't know it only had those two songs when
Sure.
I paid for it. It came in a marshmallow slipcase.
Perfect.
Yes, it was extremely ridiculous. But it's that like nostalgia factor that like elevates it more than anything else. This does not. There's nothing about this that feels nostalgic. It's too noisy. Like you can barely discern what like the music track is like exactly the same level as the vocals.
Yeah,
And
it's poorly produced.
that's part of what's so great about the original song is the vocals are fun. Like
Yeah.
you want to sing along with that.
Yeah.
I can't sing along with this.
Yeah, the only thing nostalgic for me is it reminds me of like early to mid 90s rap songs where most rap songs were just talking about what you're doing. Where it was just like, I got up, then I went to the refrigerator and I ate a big sandwich. Like it was just, and from what I heard of that, Missy Elliott was just describing things that she was doing. So I enjoy that. But yeah, it seems to be poorly mixed. Like the vocals and the music are the exact same level. So it's hard to tell what is going on in my brain when I'm listening to that.
But regardless, just real quick before we move on to our main, to our next segment, I want to thank the people who have joined us live in the chat roll.
Oh, hello.
Felix, Star Drew, the Party Pooper. The Party Pooper is here, you guys. But to answer your questions, Party Pooper, yes, go read Ready Player One.
Oh, please do.
It is a phenomenal book. If you don't like reading, like me, the audiobook. I like to read, but I spend more time in the car than anywhere else. So the audiobook is read by Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton?
Yeah, and he does a phenomenal job. He's perfect. You want to talk about weird like references? He reads the book, and there's a reference to Will Wheaton in the book.
Will Wheaton was president or something like that in the book. Yeah.
It's especially strange to hear him say that because he's like
Me president.
but
yeah, go read it. It's a great
go
book.
check it out. And yeah, I mean, I think there's some agreement on the song in the
Great.
chat roll. But if you guys are not joining us live, you're listening to this later. We are live on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's right.
So you can join us each and every week right here on the Popcorn Talk on YouTube. All right. So next up in the segment, we have the Sci-Fi in Real Life story of the week. A moment where we take a look at the real world and how our world is becoming science fiction, because it is. Every day I see an article that's like,
Science fiction.
we are living in the
now
future.
science fact.
Yeah. My watch tells me who's calling.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a fancy one. This is a cheap one.
I was just thinking, like, if I'd gone back to 2004 with an iPhone, I would have blown everyone's mind.
When did I thought the iPhone was...
Like, the touchpad technology that we have now versus then would have destroyed... Like, we have phones that can project, like, projector phones.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's the thing. Well, the only thing is, like, they'd be like, this is as far as become. You're in 2016? Like, it's an interesting phenomenon these days where we expect... So, like, there's a lot of futurists that believe, like, if we got to go to, like, 3000... the year 3000, we would be disappointed because we've built up like the future in our head to be so extreme.
I'm very disappointed
that, like,
we don't travel in tubes.
Like if you went back to 2050 and showed them today, or 2050 to 1950 and showed them today, I'm pretty sure they would be like, where's my flying car? Like, that's the future. But like, there are amazing things, and like when you think about an iPhone, and like whenever I use a GPS, and I'm like, I literally just go like, and then like I see where I am, and like we take that for granted all the time.
I feel like if we went back to 1950 and we showed them the stuff we can do, like they would blow their brains away. They would kill themselves. They would. I feel
know,
like.
well, anyway, This week, what happened actually happened this week.
Yeah.
Instead of going back to blow away people from the 1950s.
1950s, you're on notice. I'm at war with you.
Dutch scientists have been experimenting with what is effectively the crop, dirt that would be equivalent to what's on Mars, and whether or not they can grow plants in them.
Yeah.
Now, it's not as simple as just like putting a tomato plant on Mars.
Sure.
But like just like in The Martian, that we saw recently, and I watched the extended cut a week ago.
Yeah.
He grows potatoes using Martian dirt, and so now they're looking at like, well, what crops could we sustainably grow using Martian resources? 'Cause
Yeah.
in theory, yeah, you could fly up a whole bunch of soil and water and all that, but like ultimately, if you're going to colonize Mars,
You eventually have to use
you
their
need to be able to
resources.
use what's there, including finding a way to change the environment to melt. Like some people are thinking, melt the polar ice caps for water.
Yeah.
All that stuff to terraform it. So this week they found that there are 4 vegetables that can grow in Martian in sort of Martian soil.
Yeah. Altered Martian soil.
Yeah. Well, like it's equivalent mineral values
Yeah.
to what's on Mars. And there are 4 vegetables that can grow and still be safe to eat.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. It's like you need to not absorb like crazy amounts of
Radiation.
of not just radiation, but like heavy metals
Yeah.
and things that are in the dirt. But so we'll be able to grow radishes.
Delicious.
Where's the list here? Radishes, peas,
Uh-huh.
rye, and tomatoes.
Great. You can make a nice summer salad.
Yeah.
I love having rye on my
rye
salad.
is important 'cause
For beer.
Yes, exactly. Martian beer is coming, you guys.
Yeah, it comes in tomato flavor, radish flavor, and
we
pea
gotta
flavor.
work on the barley though.
Yeah, you do. Or you can just make tomato wine. Gross.
Wait, I'm like, what is? I was like, is that real? Is that a thing? It
No,
might be. I bet you somewhere in the
I'm
world.
sure it's a thing
And I'll bet
somewhere.
you there's radish wine somewhere in the world.
Gotta be.
Someone's figured it out. If there can be honey wine, which
or
I've
fish
had,
wine.
I don't.
Oh yeah, ancient
not-
Rome, they made fish wine
All right, that's
out of
gross.
rotten fish.
That's. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is it just get you drunk in that it makes you incredibly sick?
Yeah, you die, you die immediately.
But yeah, so let's they're going to keep trying some more, including they're going to try out potatoes, watercress for a nice watercress,
A nice watercress. Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that if they can make crops that can grow using the stuff on Mars, it becomes significantly easier for us to mount an actual expedition to the planet.
Yeah.
Not the like bogus ones that we keep hearing about where it's like basically some kind of weird pyramid scheme.
Or the reality TV show.
Yeah. Hey, if reality TV is gonna fund the trip to Mars, like
Do
we
it.
cut the NASA budget. Like
We did.
For like screw it. Like if Ryan Seacrest wants to invest in a Mars mission and all he wants is that there are cameras on board,
Yeah.
as long as he doesn't send up any of his like certain family of friends, and I'm not even gonna name them.
I'm also going to disagree with you. I think he should send those people up.
No, because but do we want to give them their own planet?
We want them off our planet.
I don't know. I feel like they'd be worse. Imagine a whole planet of them, though.
Right.
You gotta think for the future, man. It's
No.
even worse. We can contain them here.
I want a planet of reality TV stars. That's what Mars is going to be. It's just every reality TV star. We just ship them to Mars.
We don't ship. The first thing people we ship up aren't biologists. They
Nope.
aren't they aren't physicists.
Nope.
Or
It's a 19-year-old T-shirt designer
and her plastic surgeon.
and her plastic surgeon.
Oh man. But yeah. So anyway, what do you say we move on to our main discussion?
Let's do it.
Independence Day
Resurrection. No? Retrograde.
Resurgence.
Okay.
I think I wrote Resurrection
Revenge.
in here.
Revengeance.
I'm gonna fix it right now.
Oh, did you? I was making a joke.
No, I actually had written Resurrection in
Revengeance.
there. So the new movie came out.
It did.
20 years after the original. Jesse, what did you think? What did you think of Independence Day?
I enjoyed my experience.
Very nice lukewarm review.
I feel very lukewarm about the movie. I thought that the world building they did was great, and I loved it. I loved, Earth after winning a war against aliens and using their technology to create a new world peace around the world. I love that. I loved the shots inside the new alien ship, their own biosphere.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
The sci-fi that they had at work here was amazing, and I think it was. That was the thing that surprised me the most. Was that it really felt like this was a good science fiction movie, like maybe my main thing is it's not like a good
movie
script per se. The characters are mostly pretty one note, except for the ones that we knew already. The new characters just didn't land.
I texted you after the movie and I was like, I don't know anyone's name in this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have IMDb up so I can name other than the actors.
Yeah, because here's the thing, I'm gonna be like Will Smith's son character and Thor's brother, and
I just call him Baby Thor.
Baby Thor, and nerdy pilot. I just don't know any of them. But the science fiction parts of it were really cool. I loved seeing that. I loved seeing the aliens more using technology. I thought that was cool. They actually had the foot soldiers had guns in this, which they didn't in the original, which I thought
because the only ones we saw were pilots.
Yeah, and I thought it was a great way to I feel like this movie borrows heavily from the xenomorph alien universe as far as Queen and these tentacle alien.
That's the thing is a lot of the concepts that they were utilizing here were nothing new per se. But it was just introducing it into the very popcorny movie that was the original Independence Day.
But having the aliens hold the weapons helped kind of distance itself from that.
Yeah. And we'll get into all the sci-fi of it in depth in a minute. But let's talk about the cast though real quick because
Great.
or the characters and everything.
Do we have 4 hours?
You mean 4 minutes? But basically, it was a big cast. I applauded them, especially while I was watching. They did a great job, I think, making this again feel like this is the way that the world would look, especially in diversity.
Yeah.
In a Hollywood system that is very bad about having diverse casts. There's been a lot of people concerned that there's not enough roles for Asian characters and. I saw one person complain, one reviewer, a critic, it's so clear how they just slid Chinese characters into this. Yeah, of course the Chinese would be heavily involved. You're talking about a world that has been destroyed and has been united. The Chinese make up a huge percentage of the population. The idea that there's only one Chinese member of their team, of the core fighter team, is almost too few. And there would be somebody in charge up top, and
I'm actually surprised that there's even a distinction between countries. I thought maybe it would be a united Earth.
I think that it's not the same way that it's the same way that we have states.
Sure.
I'm proud to announce that I'm from New York, and there are people that are proud to announce for whatever reason that they're from California.
Sure. I mean, everyone from New York is proud to announce they're from New York, and we'll remind you that no matter where you are, what the context.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's the thing. Again, it's not about. But then it's not about borders for hatred's sake. It's about borders, just that's where you're from, the town you grew up in, whatever it is. It's just a distinction.
Yeah. I think the size of the cast was part of my issues with the movie. I thought it had some real bad pacing issues. And that the thing that I liked about the original so much is you got a ground view, a civilian view, a military view, and then the government view. And they told the story through those 3 views, and they intersected and they changed, and the cast kind of swapped between those 3 stories, and it was just those 3 stories. This had, I think, around 6 stories. And no one was ever given enough time to kind of land. Bill Paxton's daughter, I don't know what I don't know what she was doing, like what her job was in the White House. I don't know
Yeah,
why
they
she was
just sort
there.
of established that she was like very close with the new president.
Yes.
But they didn't really go into what she did.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's just those little things that, like, it makes sense that she would join the military.
Sure.
Because, like, again,
Because
like,
her dad was a famous pilot.
President Whitmore was
Yeah.
a brilliant fighter pilot. They established that, like, he was president after being a very strong in the military.
Yeah.
And it even makes sense that she would, if she has to give that up, and I got why she gave it up, and it made sense. That wasn't like really, it wasn't like forced.
Yeah.
That for her to be, I like that they like gave her, they made the female character just as much a part of the military as like the dudes.
Oh, see, I thought her job was daughter and girlfriend. Like,
But see,
those-
that's what I mean. It's like they didn't, she could have been in one of those planes, and even though she wasn't at the beginning, the reason I thought was justified.
was
Because
fun.
taking care of a parent is a very real world. Like,
For sure.
you have to give up careers for that, and you make a shift. But I didn't, and it makes sense that she would move into the White House because she has a lot of connections there. She literally grew up there.
Yes.
What did she do there? She looked like she was just
I have
like
no idea.
the president, maybe the president's assistant, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was just there was more you could have done there. And okay, so while we're on Maika Monroe, was one of my greatest frustrations
Mm-hmm.
with this movie, and I almost didn't even want to see it.
Yeah.
Because what it said, what it seemed like it said about the production that they didn't even pursue from what I'm seeing in the press.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear with that.
It's
I don't
just
know
from
the
the
whole
press.
story.
Yeah.
I can only do this from what I see in the press. Mae Whitman played the original president's daughter.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking to yourself, her?
Yeah. You could.
But Mae Whitman went on to had this phenomenal acting career since
a
then.
great
She's
actress.
brilliant in her own right.
Yeah.
She was Anne on Arrested Development.
Egg.
She was in Scott Pilgrim. She was on
Yeah.
Parenthood. Like, she's shown that she has a very strong, both comedic and dramatic voice.
Yeah.
And
Newsroom. She was fantastic in Newsroom.
I forgot that she was on
Yeah.
Newsroom. I didn't even know she was on Newsroom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back now. But
She's one of the main characters.
I think you're thinking of somebody else.
Am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, you are.
Whoops.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah.
No, that's different actress. Also in Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, I'm just mixing up my Scott Pilgrim girls.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
Mae Whitman played the ex.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. No, it's Egg. I remember Egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
Who? I left her in Mexico.
Anyway, but she played the daughter in the original movie, and it looked like they didn't go after her mainly because she doesn't look like a model, and like, but she's a gorgeous woman
Yeah,
in
she's
her
pretty.
own right. Like, it disappointed me because it said a lot about the movie
Yeah.
that they didn't do that, and that they couldn't get Will Smith in. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that he has his own reasons for not doing it. They showed his face enough in this movie.
They did show a lot of
that
Will
it
Smith
might
face.
as- They were just like, look at these photos of Will Smith.
There's like
remember
there's
why you are here.
There's a portrait of him outside the Oval Office.
Yeah, but again, there would be.
Yeah.
Like, literally him and Jeff Goldblum.
Saved the world.
Yeah, they are responsible for saving the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would expect his face to like,
The two most important men in history.
yeah. He just died in a test flight.
Yep. And that's all they said.
Yep. And moving on.
Yeah.
So moving on. What do you think of Little Hillard?
Little Hillard. Which character is that?
The Will Smith's kid.
Oh, don't remember anything about him. No description of who he is, what he likes, what he doesn't like. I know he's angry at not Thor.
He made him crash.
Made him crash.
in a test flight, which like.
And that's
Sure.
it. He was there to add characterization to not Thor. I felt like
Well, he was the straight man to play like this more intense character. I don't know.
I feel like they said that a lot. I didn't see it a lot. Like
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing is that they sort of, because they wanted to create this new generation.
yeah.
I thought it worked for a little bit. It just like they needed to spend more time on who these people were.
Yeah, I just have no idea who any of them are.
Yeah, but there are pieces there that like, this almost feels like it could have been like a mini in
Yeah.
between two movies, because we're gonna get into the potential of the third one,
Like a
which
1.5.
I don't care how much you didn't like this movie. The third one needs to happen, and we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about why in a minute.
I think it's just a thing that Roland Emmerich kind of suffers from and needs someone to kind of. He likes all of his little side stories, and I was really excited. Like when Vivica Fox died, I was like, "Oh, great! We don't have to worry about that side story." Like, oh, that sucks for her, but we don't have to worry about like her dealing with this pregnant woman, and she's on the roof of a hospital, and like we have to deal with all of that.
Yeah, I did want to say to her,
Yeah.
like I was sort of like not in literally shocked,
Yeah.
but like I was sort of like, look, it's really commendable you want to save the baby. You are a trained medical professional in a world that has just gone through the biggest hellhole. They need you a lot more than they need that baby.
You're a trained stripper medical professional, and you need to go.
I totally forgot that she had been a stripper in the original movie.
When I saw her, I was like, it wasn't like she was like a college student paying for her classes by stripping. She was just a professional stripper. She was like in the middle of her stripping career.
Who liked what she did.
Who
mind
liked
you.
what she did, and she was like, strippers, great for you. But like
Market quote of the day. Computer, take note.
in 20
Now the
years,
official quote of the day.
thank you. In 20 years, she has become the head officer of a hospital.
I mean,
But
look,
again,
in a world that's been ravaged by war,
Mm-hmm.
like the entire millions upon millions, if not billions, of people died
Yeah.
in the original Independence Day. So it makes sense that, like, yeah, you would find the places where you're most needed.
Yeah.
And if she has any kind of brain in her body that's like semi-intelligent, yeah, medical profession is a great place to go apply it.
but stripping is also important, and she gave
Hey,
up on her dreams.
You don't know what she does at night,
That's
man.
true. Well, I honestly think it was like, what did she do in that first movie? It's like, oh, she helped the president's wife when her helicopter crashed, and she like helped apply a bandage. Oh, let's make her a doctor.
Look, I mean, it works. I think if you were to like go back and like just tell her story, I can see exactly how that story plays out, and I think that's what they did for the most part with like everything about this movie.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great place to transition into the sci-fi of ID 42.
Yeah, the tie-ins to the old movie. This is like the cleanest sequel tie-in I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, let's talk first about the world remade.
Sure.
Because like they really it looks like they spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of care constructing what this world would look like.
Yeah.
In 20 years, they were like they integrated the aliens technology as you expect, because they've already been doing research into how it works. So it makes sense that they would be able to utilize it.
Yeah.
But like it was little things that I noticed that I really liked, like the helicopters, like hoverboard helicopters that you see flying around. Looks like they used the shells of what they had left,
Yeah.
because it's still the shape of a helicopter, even
Yeah.
though there's no tail blade.
Yeah.
But it still retains that aerodynamic shape, even though it doesn't necessarily need it.
Yeah.
Because they just like slapped the technology onto what existed, and the designs, and the Raptors, like it was just like, why do they need wings?
Yeah, they don't need them.
But it makes sense for two reasons. That like because it's what they had, so it makes more sense to modify what you have because you have limited resources.
Yeah.
And beyond that, you're just taking like it's just that's humanity. Like we take what we know and we like
just
make a small change. We're like
copy paste
the idea of like going back to square one with the new step and like completely redesigning it. Let's be honest, it's just not something we do.
It's not gonna, and especially in like 20 years, it's not gonna happen. Like especially if it works, then just slap it on. I thought that was really great. I liked seeing like the idea of like the Earth. That they'd been planning for the aliens to come back. That Earth Defense Network with all of those lasers and satellites set up around the world, and then like the giant laser on the moon and all of that kind of stuff. I thought that was all great. Kind of, yeah. If we know aliens are coming for us, we should be gearing up and protecting Earth. And I thought all of that was fantastic.
Yeah, we have a moon, a base on off Saturn.
Yeah,
it's gone now.
it's
but like,
not there anymore, but we did have one.
Yeah, but it all worked. I think they did a good job redesigning the world.
Yeah, and I was talking about I would watch a Netflix series of the African war band hunting down and killing and fighting aliens off that landed ship. Like, that would be an amazing series to watch.
And again, just feeling out the ways that the whole world has been affected. It's not just America.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we sort of are leading the charge. And in a way, I would think that like, as much as an American centrist ideal as that is, like, we did lead the charge in the first movie.
Yeah.
Whatever that's worth, like, yeah, of course, it's America. Like, we had to save the day. But in this world, America did. So it makes sense that they would sort of have taken the first charge of it. And then bringing in the rest of the world with them. Bring in China, and, like, China's running them, or, like, a Chinese military or scientist is running
the moon base.
Yeah. Makes sense. But I love that they brought in, were they in Uganda?
I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly where they were. But the little warlord run tribe, like, the one thing that I questioned is they said they had to fight a ground war with the aliens. But they also said that once the queen dies, they all go.
Yeah,
like,
that was my big logic issue as well. That once the queen died, all of them died or, like, went back home.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy that it exists.
The idea that that ship crashed was, like, why it was stranded there?
No, that ship was a digging ship.
Oh, no, it landed.
Yeah, it landed because that's why there was that hole in the middle. That was a ship.
That was the drill.
That was a drill ship.
I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. Also, by the way, the Atlantic Ocean has a giant hole going all the way down into this, like, scum subcrustal upper mantle, like past the mantle, almost to the core of the Earth, which means a lot of, and it's miles wide, so it means a lot of the water in the ocean is now.
I thought about that too. Like, the ocean didn't move.
Yeah.
Which I think this is exactly the thing that, like, if we ask ourselves, what would Neil deGrasse Tyson say?
Yeah.
Is not believing.
That is exactly where he'd be like, hold on, you guys.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, you drilled a giant pit in the middle of the ocean. That's, like, not going to drain the ocean.
No.
But sea levels are going to go way down.
Also, it's going to affect continental drift in drastic manners by cutting a hole through the continents.
What?
And, like,
I guess
through
it would.
Tectonic plates, like, that cut through tectonic plates, that will cause massive, like, issues to Earth.
Even if whatever drill they're using doesn't necessarily cause earthquakes, let's just for the sake of alien technology forgiveness, it doesn't cause earthquakes as it drills.
Yeah. It will eventually.
It will, like, yeah, I mean, it's going to, but, like, the continental drift, I think that's going to take many millennia to notice the effect, right?
I think it would probably affect, I mean, that big a change, because the tectonic plates move at such a slow speed. To have something that big and drastic happen in such a sudden manner would, I feel like, change it immediately, like, affect the world immediately.
It'd be interesting to find out, like, exactly, like, we do not have geology degrees.
Geologists, hit us up. Talk to us about geology. Potassium feldspar.
So let's real quick, let's talk about the so they came to drill. It's the core that they were after, not just our resources, but the drill.
But they also
the core, the energy, I guess. It's like fuel.
But they also came for their ancient enemy.
Well, they didn't. That was incidental. They came for a core, and then their ancient enemy, the orb,
or as I call it, the iPhone.
Yeah, I liked the orb as a story point, which I feel like I apologize. I should have said this at the beginning. I saw somebody was calling us out for it. We should have given a big spoiler warning up top.
Yeah, guys, I'm so sorry. Spoiler warning.
It's a review.
It's a review, so we're going to talk about
But real quick, the orb. I like. Of course, there's multiple alien races.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
If there's intergalactic travel aliens, like, of course there'd be more than one.
The thing I didn't understand about it was like, we are the only ones with technology that can destroy them. but also we were destroyed by them. And it was like, okay.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm not a huge fan of the sole survivor thing. I think it's a little overdone.
Yeah.
There's no need, especially if you're technology based.
Yeah, just
If you're technology based, how hard is it to make a new one?
or just a database of all of your race.
Yeah. Yeah, don't you have your family like backed up?
Yeah, I would back up my family.
Yeah.
Some members of my family.
You're on notice, Jesse Klein's family.
Yep.
All right, so so I like the idea of like, okay, like it's been an intergalactic war for centuries. Like these aliens trying to just harvest things, which is very much like how we behave.
Yeah.
Going around the world just digging stuff up and not really thinking about how it's going to affect everything else in that environment.
Yeah.
Whatever might happen to the primitive species of the area.
Yeah.
In this case, we are the primitive species.
For sure.
But I love where they go with the orb, because I love what it sets up
For the
for
future.
the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So basically,
Yeah.
so like Jeff Goldblum was running around this movie and he was phenomenal because he's Jeff Goldblum.
He's Jeff Goldblum.
He was so much fun to watch, and like him in charge, and just like I love that he's buddies with Liam Hemsworth's character.
Yeah.
And he's just like they know they have like a code. He's like, oh, you need help? I'm gonna bring my ship down and like just pick you up, and go explore its moon. He makes it fun to watch.
Jeff
'cause
Goldblum's
he's such
fantastic.
a strong actor. But basically what they set up is they're gonna, because they have the orb is training all these different alien races on a secret planet to fight I don't even know the aliens.
Yeah.
But they decide, because humankind has against all odds defeated them twice
now. Yeah.
that we should lead the resistance movement.
Yeah.
So the next movie is Jeff Goldblum, Liam Hemsworth, the other people running around with them.
Yeah.
Being taken. Oh, and the crazy scientist from the first movie. And
Data.
Flying them to an alien world with all kinds of different alien races
That have been destroyed by the evil aliens.
But it just means there's like surrounded by different races of anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
And Jeff Goldblum is leading the fight against against the aliens in an intergalactic battle. Yes,
And
all of that.
And at the same time, Jeff Goldblum's dad is going to be in a SUV full of children. And we're going to keep cutting back to that because we got to know, are they going to get gas?
That was so fun. Like, it was silly that he survived that tidal wave, but oh my God, it was funny.
Oh,
he was such a good character.
I hated that. I was like, why do I was like, the only way this car full of children gets worse is if it becomes a school bus full of children. And immediately it became a school bus full of children. And I was like, this is Roland Emmerich at his worst. Like, we didn't need that. That added absolutely nothing to the entire movie. It
wasn't, to get there wasn't necessary, but I liked the dad. Like, I liked the moment when he like, it made me laugh, at least, when he like reunited with
I love the character. It
David.
makes me feel good to watch that character. I was annoyed by it endlessly.
Fair enough. But ultimately, would you see that sequel?
Yeah, of course I'll see that sequel.
That's the thing. And like Jonas Tiger in the chat is like, the sequel was so blatantly set up in the finale. I don't even care how we got there. Again, like, the second movie didn't have to be great, but like that third movie sounds like, if it's done right,
It sounds really ambitious.
it sounds super ambitious, but it could be so much fun.
Yeah.
And like with Jeff Goldblum at the front of it, it would just be so good.
I don't know about you. I was kind of hoping the Earth got destroyed in this movie, like because of the way they did the world building in this movie. I was like, let's see the human race without Earth, and like let's see them on that planet, which we're gonna see in the next one. But I was like, let's see the human race without Earth and like on this refugee planet, and there's only 3 million humans left, and they're all on this refugee planet, and like, let's see that. And it looks like we're gonna get a little bit of that, but I thought it would have been interesting if we'd lost in this movie.
That would have been an interesting take.
Yeah.
Because like it did give me just enough worry. That's sort of why I enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
made me worry just enough that I was engaged, and while the Queen's like chasing them, I was excited. I was like enjoying this experience.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's gonna do it for our review of Independence Day 2.
Yeah.
Resurgence.
Zach, do you recommend it?
I recommend going to a matinee.
As do I. Go to a matinee.
But I will say it was worth seeing in IMAX. It looked amazing in the IMAX.
I had issues with the graphics, especially when they turned on the burners in that. It looked terrible.
It looked good on my screen. But anyway, lastly, before we get out of here, let's do our mission assignment.
You here with the mission, sir?
Secret mission.
It's 5-year mission.
You are a top operative on your most important mission.
That's right. Last week's mission assignment was to tell us the movie that should get us that should definitely never get a sequel. What should get a sequel?
Yeah, that is too old to get a sequel.
So first up, let's see what other people said.
Yeah, what do we get?
So Steranko said Blade Runner, which of course, but
We're getting
they
one, yeah.
are doing that.
Yeah, and I agree. Let's see that
But
world
then
again.
they said, look, maybe, and this actually from the two people that sent in, Steranko sent this in, and the Chill Cat on Twitter, 2010. But little do you guys know, they're doing that too.
They're doing that as well. Yes.
If you don't know, Sci-Fi, the network is developing the novel 3001: A Space Odyssey, which Clark wrote, into a miniseries on Sci-Fi. I'm so excited for that one.
I'm very excited as well.
And of course, it would be a large leap in time before we could make that because it's 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
But Chill Cat also suggested this was my favorite one.
Yeah.
Metropolis.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We don't remake it.
Yeah.
We make a sequel to a movie that only film students have seen.
It's been a while since Metropolis has been out. I agree. Let's make a sequel.
Oh my god, the party pooper says Back to the Future. No. I say nay.
I also say leave that alone.
Yes.
You are a
But
party
yeah,
pooper.
Jesse, what do you think? What should definitely get a sequel?
I thought about it. I looked at a lot of classic sci-fi. I was like, I don't want to do classic sci-fi. I want to do my trashy action sci-fi.
All right.
So I chose Equilibrium.
Okay.
I enjoy the world of Equilibrium, a place where emotions are illegal, a place where art is banned, people are, without feeling. I want to see more gun kata. I want to see what happens. If you haven't seen Equilibrium, you should play a heavy metal record and then go watch it immediately. It is basically the best part about it is there's kung fu based on guns. There's gun kung fu. It's awesome.
I said The Last Starfighter,
Which is perfect.
because it's a movie that a lot of people have forgotten.
Yeah.
But it would fit so well today because you would take it, and then it was controlling a console game.
Yeah.
But now it would be you'd be like controlling a starfighter within a virtual reality experience.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or it's our government and they need people who are trained so they can go inside a computer like Tron. I don't know. It's insanity.
It's also interesting because in the 80s, video games were kind of counterculture. It was only a few people played video games.
Yeah.
And now every single person plays video games. Every human,
in one form or another, even if you're just playing it on your phone,
Yeah.
you're playing a video game.
What if it was the person who got the high score on Bejeweled was the person?
What if Bejeweled? I mean, this is also the basis for Ernest Cline's his second book, which I was talking about before.
Oh, Ready Player 2?
Armada.
Oh, okay.
Armada was what it's called, and it was basically it's sort of just The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
But very similar, and they acknowledge Starfighter. It's a whole
Zach,
thing.
is Pixels a remake of The Last Starfighter?
I don't know. I didn't see Pixels.
Okay, great.
But anyway, so that was last week's assignment. So for next week, guys, if you want to get in on the fun, Send us your list. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on all at Sci-Fi Weekly, or you can leave it in the comments below on YouTube or on iTunes. You can find us there as well. Search for Sci-Fi Weekly and Popcorn Talk, and tell us, this is your assignment for next week. What's your top 5 movies that are considered sci-fi, are not considered sci-fi, but they are sci-fi when you get down to it.
But they're actually sci-fi.
Yeah, because next week we're going to be, because a lot of people have asked us, like, what are we going to be covering, and like what qualifies as a sci-fi movie, like Ghostbusters we talked about.
Yeah.
I consider it sci-fi, even though it's ghosts, but your lead characters are all scientists.
Yeah.
But a lot of people would not think of it. They think of it more fantasy, not science fiction. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What is science fiction? So in honor of that, send us your top 5 movies that are considered sci-fi.
That are not considered.
I keep saying
that are not considered sci-fi, but actually are sci-fi. Like as an example, would be like Superman, which a lot of people think is like a superhero movie, but it's actually about an alien invading Earth and using his superior alien form to force things on humankind. Like, it's a science fiction movie.
Yeah. And all right, guys, that's going to do it for Sci-Fi Weekly here at Popcorn Talk. As I said, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, all those things. You can find me personally on Twitter at @ZachWilson. Jesse Klein.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
And we have been Sci-Fi Weekly, where, remember, we're just one lab coat away from being actual scientists.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Kristian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
Views expressed here are those of the hosts only, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.